In the 1960s, advanced computer labs showed images on line-based vector monitors. These displays birthed the first computer graphics, and some of the first video games. Space War, from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, inspired a generation of game designers who created the earliest commercial video games. However, it couldn't be taken out of a lab. Even as technology became smaller and cheaper, vector monitors were too expensive. The co-founders of Atari created Computer Space, which turned the two-player dogfight of Space War into a single-player shooter. They made many changes to the original, simplifying it, which didn't sit well with MIT graduate Larry Rosenthal. Rosenthal had loved Space War, and after seeing Computer Space, wanted to bring the full experience to the arcades. All by himself, he designed a way to change a standard cathode ray tube television screen into a cost-effective vector display, which could run a game of Space War. After patenting his system, later called Vector Beam, Rosenthal spent several years pitching the idea to game companies. He carried the hardware for the game around in a suitcase, going from company to company until he arrived at the doorstep of Cinematronics in San Diego, California. The company was bankrupt and decided to bet big on Rosenthal's vector arcade adaptation of Space War. Space Wars was released on the back of the Star Wars craze, a movie which also utilized vector graphics. It became the most popular game of 1978, topping the charts in both of the magazines of the coin-op industry. Space Wars created a new market for vector video games, saved Cinematronics, and granted Rosenthal recognition as a top video game inventor. However, Rosenthal was not satisfied with working for Cinematronics. He and a few other employees defected, creating their own company in Silicon Valley called Vector Beam, after his patented system. He maintained the rights to his patents, meaning Cinematronics continued to pay him for every game they produced. Vector Beam struggled to survive, though they created the spectacular Speed Freak featured in the music video for computer games by New Zealand band MySex. There simply wasn't enough money to keep the company afloat. A year after striking out on his own, Larry Rosenthal sold his patents, and Vector Beam the company to Cinematronics. Vector Beam released several Cinematronics titles, as well as one of the first 3D arcade games, Tail Gunner, before being sold to rival company Exidy. Rosenthal left the industry, but the legacy of his vector technology continued. Cinematronics put out games like Star Castle and Armor Attack. Atari had Asteroids and Tempest, and Sega Gremlin released Space Fury and Star Trek Strategic Operations Simulator. The vector graphics wars were an important moment in arcade game history. Players were demanding technology to match the new fast pace of pinball and to look even more spectacular. Both were often easier to do using the simple but fluid lines of vector screens. The technology even eventually evolved into some of the first polygonal 3D games. The roots of the technology came from the 1960s, but it influenced the 1980s, when one man with a bold dream made games like Lunar Lander and Star Wars a reality.